What if I told you that buried beneath the ice and waves of Hudson Bay lies one of Earth's greatest mysteries? A body of water so massive it's actually pulling gravity toward it, so ancient it holds secrets from when mammoths roamed the Earth, and so strategically important that it shaped the destiny of an entire continent. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into Hudson Bay, Canada's forgotten inland sea. We've spent quite some time researching the most incredible, lesser-known facts about this remarkable place, and trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at a map of Canada the same way again. Fact 1. The Gravity Anomaly. Let's start with something that sounds like science fiction, but is absolutely real. Hudson Bay is literally lighter than it should be. Scientists have discovered that the gravitational pull in this region is measurably weaker than anywhere else on Earth. Why? The answer takes us back 20,000 years. During the last ice age, a massive glacier, some parts over 2 miles thick, pressed down on this land with such incredible force that it actually compressed the Earth's crust. When the ice melted, the land began to bounce back, but it's still rising today at a rate of about 1.2 centimeters per year. This post-glacial rebound means there's literally less mass beneath Hudson Bay, creating what geologists call a gravity hole. It's so significant that satellites can detect it from space. Imagine, every time you visit Hudson Bay, you actually weigh slightly less than you would anywhere else on the planet. Fact 2. The breathing sea. Speaking of geological mysteries, Hudson Bay experiences some of the most extreme tidal ranges in the world. But here's what's truly bizarre. The bay literally breathes. Due to its unique shape and the gravitational effects we just discussed, Hudson Bay experiences what oceanographers call seiche movements. These are standing waves that make the entire bay rock back and forth like water in a bathtub. During these events, water levels can change by several meters in just hours, but not because of tides. Local Inuit communities have known about this phenomenon for centuries, calling it the sea's breath. They could predict weather patterns by watching how the bay breathed, and modern science has confirmed their observations were remarkably accurate. When a major storm is approaching the Arctic, Hudson Bay starts breathing differently days in advance. Fact 3. The polar bear capital's secret. Everyone knows Churchill, Manitoba as the polar bear capital of the world. But here's what most people don't know. The polar bears there are actually prisoners of geography, and it's created one of evolution's most remarkable survival strategies. The western shore of Hudson Bay is where the ice forms last and melts first. This means polar bears in this region experience the longest ice-free period of any polar bear population on Earth, sometimes up to 5 months without access to their primary food source, seals. To survive, these bears have developed an extraordinary ability to enter a state called walking hibernation. They slow their metabolism by up to 60% while remaining active, essentially becoming living zombies that can survive on almost no food for months. It's a biological adaptation found nowhere else in the polar bear world, and it might be their key to surviving climate change. Fact 4. The Manhattan of the Arctic. In 1610, when Henry Hudson sailed into the bay that would bear his name, his crew made a startling discovery. What they thought was an ocean passage to Asia was actually something far more valuable. An inland sea that would become the Manhattan of the Arctic fur trade. York Factory, established on Hudson Bay's shores, became the longest continuously operated trading post in North America, running for over 270 years. But here's the incredible part. This remote outpost handled more wealth than many European capitals. At its peak, a single year's fur shipment from York Factory was worth more than the entire GDP of some small countries. The post was so strategically important that it changed hands between French and English forces 9 times. Each battle wasn't just for territory, it was for control of what was essentially North America's economic heartland. The wealth that flowed through Hudson Bay literally financed the exploration and settlement of Western Canada. Fact 5. The island that wasn't. At the bottom of Hudson Bay sits Akimiski Island, and it holds one of geography's most mind-bending secrets. This island is actually newer than the United States of America. Remember that post-glacial rebound we talked about? Akimiski Island is rising out of Hudson Bay at such a rapid rate that it's literally growing before our eyes. The island has gained over 150 square kilometers of land area just in the past century. What's now dry land was underwater when Napoleon was conquering Europe. Inuit oral histories describe their grandparents hunting seals in areas that are now the island's interior. Scientists have confirmed these stories by finding marine fossils and seal bones miles inland from the current shoreline. Akimiski Island isn't just growing, it's one of the fastest growing pieces of land on Earth, adding roughly 2 square kilometers every year. Fact 6. The Beluga Mystery. Every summer, Hudson Bay becomes home to one of nature's most spectacular gatherings. Over 60,000 beluga whales converge in its waters, representing nearly 2/3 of the world's entire beluga population. But why they come here was a mystery that took decades to solve. Scientists initially thought the whales came for food, but the real reason is far more fascinating. Hudson Bay's unique water chemistry, influenced by massive freshwater input from surrounding rivers, creates the perfect conditions for beluga whales to molt their skin. These whales actually shed their entire outer layer of skin once a year, and they need specific water conditions to do it safely. The slightly warmer, less salty water of Hudson Bay, combined with its shallow areas where they can rub against the seafloor, makes it the world's largest natural whale spa. The molting process is so important that belugas will travel over 1,000 kilometers to reach Hudson Bay, even if it means going without food for weeks. It's like a mandatory annual vacation that every beluga whale in the Arctic simply cannot miss. Fact 7. The Meteor Highway. Hudson Bay sits in what geologists call a cosmic shooting gallery. The region has been hit by more major meteorite impacts than almost anywhere else on Earth, and there's a disturbing reason why. The bay itself sits partially within the Nastapoka Arc, a mysterious curved shoreline that some scientists believe is actually the rim of an ancient impact crater over 450 kilometers across. If confirmed, it would be one of the largest impact craters on Earth, created by an asteroid that would have made the one that killed the dinosaurs look like a pebble. But the cosmic bombardment didn't stop there. The region is peppered with confirmed impact sites, including the Clearwater Lakes, twin craters created by a double asteroid strike. Indigenous peoples have stories of stars falling to Earth and creating the lakes, stories that modern science has confirmed as remarkably accurate descriptions of actual geological events. What makes this even more eerie is that Hudson Bay's position in the Earth's rotation make it statistically more likely to be hit by future impacts. It's like nature's own target practice range. Fact 8. The Submarine Graveyard. During World War II, Hudson Bay became an unlikely theater of war, hiding one of the conflict's strangest naval operations. German U-boats actually penetrated deep into Hudson Bay, creating what military historians now call the most audacious submarine operation in North American waters. In 1942, U-boat U-517 slipped through Hudson Strait and into the bay itself, sinking several Allied vessels in what should have been completely safe waters. The psychological impact was enormous. If German submarines could strike in Hudson Bay, nowhere in North America was truly safe. What makes this even more remarkable is the technical challenge. Hudson Bay's shallow waters, extreme tides, and ice conditions made submarine operations incredibly dangerous. Several U-boats were lost in these waters, their wrecks still lying on the bay's floor. The Allied response was to secretly deploy their own submarine patrols in Hudson Bay, turning this remote inland sea into an underwater battleground that most people never knew existed. Declassified documents reveal that some of these engagements were so classified that even today, details remain redacted. Fact 9. The Aurora Factory. Hudson Bay sits directly beneath one of Earth's most active aurora zones, but what creates the light shows here is unlike anywhere else on the planet. The bay's unique magnetic properties, influenced by that gravitational anomaly we discussed, actually amplify and focus aurora activity. The iron-rich rocks beneath Hudson Bay, combined with its position relative to Earth's magnetic field, create what scientists call a magnetic focusing effect. This means auroras here are often more intense, last longer, and display colors rarely seen elsewhere. But here's the truly spectacular part. The bay's vast flat surface creates perfect conditions for aurora reflection. On calm nights, the northern lights don't just dance above Hudson Bay, they're perfectly mirrored on the water's surface, creating a 360-degree light show that early explorers described as sailing through the stars themselves. Inuit communities have over 200 different words for various types of aurora displays, many describing phenomena that are unique to the Hudson Bay region. Modern aurora researchers regularly visit the bay specifically because it produces aurora behaviors that simply don't occur anytime else. Fact 10. The fossil time machine. The rocks surrounding Hudson Bay contain one of the most complete geological records on Earth, stretching back nearly 4 billion years, almost to the very beginning of our planet's history. But the most incredible discoveries weren't made by professional paleontologists. Inuit hunters regularly find perfectly preserved fossils of creatures that lived here millions of years ago. Due to the region's unique preservation conditions, they've discovered intact mammoth tusks, saber-toothed cat skulls, and even the world's northernmost dinosaur fossils. One of the most significant finds was made by a young Inuit hunter in 2019, a complete skeleton of a creature that lived 450 million years ago, perfectly preserved in Hudson Bay limestone. The fossil was so well preserved that scientists could identify its last meal. What makes Hudson Bay's fossil record truly unique is that it shows a complete environmental transition. You can literally trace the geological history from when this area was a tropical sea filled with coral reefs, through ice ages to the Arctic environment we see today. It's like reading Earth's diary written in stone. Fact 11. The river that flows backwards. The Churchill River, which flows into Hudson Bay, does something that defies basic hydrology. During certain times of the year, it actually flows backwards. This isn't just a tidal effect, it's a phenomenon that can last for weeks. During spring breakup, massive ice jams can form where the Churchill River meets Hudson Bay. These ice dams become so large and solid that they actually reverse the river's flow, sending seawater and ice up to 50 kilometers inland. Early European explorers were completely baffled by this phenomenon. Samuel Hearne, exploring the region in 1771, wrote about finding saltwater fish swimming upstream in a river that should flow toward the sea. Local indigenous peoples use this predictable reversal for transportation, riding the backwards current inland as a natural elevator system. Modern climate change is making these reversals even more dramatic. Some years, the backwards flow is so powerful that it permanently alters the river's course, creating new channels and islands. It's like watching geography rewrite itself in real time. Fact 12. The Magnetic North's Way Station. Hudson Bay plays a crucial but little-known role in one of Earth's most important magnetic phenomena. The North Magnetic Pole, the point that compass needles actually point to, regularly passes through or near Hudson Bay during its constant wandering around the Arctic. What's fascinating is that indigenous navigators in the Hudson Bay region developed compass correction techniques centuries before European science understood magnetic declination. They created detailed maps showing how compass readings needed to be adjusted in different parts of the bay, maps that proved to be more accurate than European navigational charts. The bay's iron-rich geology creates local magnetic anomalies that can throw off compass readings by up to 20 degrees. Modern GPS has made this less critical, but during the Age of Sail, these magnetic quirks made Hudson Bay one of the most dangerous places to navigate in North America. There's evidence that some shipwrecks in Hudson Bay occurred not because of storms or ice, but because magnetic anomalies led navigators so far off course that they ran aground in what they thought was open water. The bay's magnetic mysteries literally changed the course of history. Fact 13. The underground ocean. Beneath Hudson Bay lies something that sounds like science fiction, a vast underground ocean that may be larger than the bay itself. This isn't groundwater or an aquifer, it's a completely separate body of water trapped in rock formations deep beneath the bay floor. Seismic surveys conducted for oil exploration in the 1970s revealed massive caverns filled with water up to 2 kilometers below the bay's bottom. Core samples brought up water that's been isolated from the surface for possibly millions of years, creating a completely unique ecosystem in eternal darkness. Some of this ancient water is highly saline, saltier than the Dead Sea, while other pockets are fresher than surface water. The temperature is constant at about 10 degrees Celsius, making it significantly warmer than the bay above, heated by geothermal activity from Earth's core. Scientists theorize this underground ocean might harbor unique life forms that evolved in complete isolation. If confirmed, it would represent one of Earth's most extreme and pristine ecosystems, a world within a world that has never seen sunlight. Fact 14. The Climate Control Center. Hudson Bay functions as North America's natural air conditioning system, but climate change is causing it to malfunction in ways that affect weather patterns across the entire continent. The bay's massive size and shallow depth mean it freezes and thaws in a unique pattern that helps regulate Arctic air masses. When it freezes late or thaws early, it creates a domino effect that can shift the jet stream, affecting weather from Alaska to Florida. Recent studies have shown that changes in Hudson Bay's ice patterns are directly linked to the increasing frequency of extreme weather events across North America. A delay in Hudson Bay freeze-up can contribute to everything from California droughts to East Coast blizzards. What's most concerning is that Hudson Bay is warming faster than almost any other large body of water on Earth. The bay now freezes an average of 3 weeks later and thaws 2 weeks earlier than it did just 30 years ago. This 35-day difference might not sound like much, but it's fundamentally altering the climate system for hundreds of millions of people. Indigenous elders describe the bay as the heart that pumps cold air across the land. If that heart beats differently, everything downstream changes. Fact 15. The space elevator connection. Here's something that sounds like pure science fiction, but is actually being seriously considered by space agencies. Hudson Bay as the potential location for humanity's first space elevator. The same gravitational anomaly that makes you weigh less in Hudson Bay also makes it one of the most energy-efficient places on Earth to launch objects into space. The reduced gravitational pull, combined with the bay's position relative to Earth's rotation, could cut space launch costs by up to 30%. Several aerospace companies have conducted preliminary studies on placing a space elevator anchor point in the Hudson Bay region. The stable geology, low population density, and existing transportation infrastructure make it surprisingly practical. Even more intriguing, the bay's unique magnetic properties could potentially be used to create a magnetic launch system, essentially a giant railgun that could fire cargo into orbit using electromagnetic forces. The iron-rich bedrock would provide the magnetic field strength needed for such a system. While we're still decades away from this technology becoming reality, Hudson Bay has already been designated as a strategic space launch region by the Canadian Space Agency. The remote inland sea that once launched fur traders might someday launch astronauts. Fact 16. The future ocean. Our final fact takes us into the future, and it's perhaps the most remarkable of all. According to climate projections, Hudson Bay is destined to become something unprecedented, a freshwater ocean. As Arctic ice continues to melt and precipitation patterns change, Hudson Bay is receiving increasingly massive inputs of fresh water from surrounding rivers. Scientists predict that within 50 to 100 years, the bay could become completely freshwater, essentially the world's largest lake. This transformation would be unlike anything in recorded human history. A freshwater Hudson Bay would create its own weather systems, support completely different ecosystems, and potentially become one of the world's largest sources of drinking water. The implications are staggering. A freshwater Hudson Bay could support massive fish populations, provide irrigation for agriculture hundreds of kilometers away, and become a critical resource as fresh water becomes increasingly scarce globally. Indigenous communities are already seeing the beginning of this transformation. Elders report that the water in some parts of the bay already tastes noticeably less salty than it did in their youth. From gravity anomalies to backwards flowing rivers, from underground oceans to potential space elevators, Hudson Bay is far more than just a body of water on a map. It's a place where geology, climate, history, and the future converge in ways that challenge everything we think we know about our planet. The next time you look at Hudson Bay on a map, remember, you're not just looking at Canada's inland sea. You're looking at a gravitational anomaly, a climate control center, a fossil time machine, and possibly humanity's gateway to space. You're looking at one of Earth's greatest mysteries, hiding in plain sight in the Canadian Arctic. What did you think of these facts? Which one surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Earth's most fascinating places, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories about our amazing planet. Until next time, keep exploring.